Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to a brand new video here today and some more F1 2020 career mode. Today we are here for the Belgian Grand Prix, as you can see in the background with this absolutely insane in-game screenshot. But guys, if you missed the last episode, then go check it out guys, the Hungarian Grand Prix. I'll leave it linked up in the top right hand corner of your screen. But today we are here at the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, and it's one of my top 2 favorite tracks on the calendar alongside Japan. If you guys are excited for this video guys, drop me a like and subscribe if you are new for more daily F1 content. But today you can see on screen right now, looking at the weather forecast this weekend, we do have some rain, maybe in the air in qualifying. It's very overcast, so you never know what could happen. Hopefully though, it should stay dry. Practice looks pretty good as well. We then move into the R&D graph, and this weekend we do have, I believe, a minor engine power upgrade on the car. So not big changes. We're still just ahead of Ferrari. We do have some more upgrades on the way for the engine for hopefully the next race in Monza. Fingers crossed that will arrive. But with that said, we now move into practice here at Spa, and a track, like I said, I love it. It's so much fun, you know, and if you get it right, it's really satisfying. But the AI are very strong around here on this year's game. It's one of their stronger tracks, maybe even their strongest. So yeah, this maybe is Silverstone as well. Those two tracks, really strong AI tracks. Either way, after practice we had a pretty decent session, and both myself and Alex Albon scored a decent amount of R&D points, bringing our total up to nearly 2,000 points altogether. And with that, we're going to change our engine real quick, because before qualifying we do want to have maximum performance with the power unit for this race and also the next one in Italy as well. So we are going to change the components around, and with that we then move into Q1 here at Belgium. And overcast conditions, looks like it won't rain in this qualifying session, so hopefully we should be okay on that front. But yeah, overall, I'm feeling a bit mixed in terms of the confidence, because after practice we did struggle for pace a little bit, so I'm not quite sure what to expect. I think if we get Q3, that would actually be a good result for us, to be honest. I think we're quite a way off the pace in terms of what the Red Bull should be. So here we go then, Q1 at the end of my first time lap. And to be fair, it wasn't that bad of a lap. It was actually quite competitive. But to my surprise, across the line we go P8 behind Raikkonen, which was quite concerning, you know, in the Alpha. Eventually we got pushed down to P15, and I went out for a second lap, and I was only a 10th up. It wasn't much, only a 10th of an improvement. But I realized at this point everyone had crossed the line and there were no more improvements. Therefore, I actually backed off, turned the engine down, and went into the pit lane instead to save the engine and save the tyres, because I knew we were through. So we went out as a precaution, you know, just to keep the risk low. We set a 141.1, and that was enough to go through on the bubble in P15. And with that, we now move into Q2. In this session, we're going to go for 2 runs once again. This was the first one, and a fresh set of soft tyres on the car once more. And to be fair, it was a good lap. Really good balance. The car was actually working quite well, to be fair. And we are going to run up to the line and set a 1:40.9, so 2 tenths quicker than our Q1 lap, and we go P11. Eventually we got pushed down to P12, but now we're going to go for a full lap, guys, of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. This was my best Q2 lap, so let's find out if the lap was good enough to get into Q3. Let's go for a lap here of this magnificent circuit. And here we go then, out of the final corner, opening up the DRS as we now run up to the line, and we do improve by about a tenth and a half. Unfortunately though, no position change, and we stay in 13th place. To be fair, I didn't quite get the bus stop right. I feel like I messed it up because the first part was perfect, but the second part we went in with too much of a narrow angle and we didn't quite get the corner right. I kind of missed the apex, ran a bit too wide, and to be fair, it was really close. If you look at where we were, had we actually nailed the bus stop and found just half a tenth, that would have been enough to get into Q3 because, you know, Raikkonen, Stroll, Sainz, Ricciardo, you know, all within that 0.8 of a second barrier. And, you know, 1/10 here or there could have made a big difference in terms of your ultimate finishing position. So, yeah, in the end, P13 for us, Albon up in P2 on the soft tyres. But that is going to be it for our qualifying as we now move into an interview.
You won't be starting at the front of the pack. Are you worried?
Obviously, it's not ideal, but we'll just have to do our best and make, you know, the most out of a bad situation.
Do you have any comments about this team?
Not really. You know, we're not really looking at Haas at the minute, to be honest. We're not really too concerned with them. So, yeah.
Great. Well, that's everything.
And then after qualifying, looking at the rivalry breakdown, Valtteri Bottas does outscore us here today. So he's now going to take the lead in the rivalry by 1 point. Still early days though, so we may get a chance to come back at him and potentially try and get back ahead. But guys, we do actually lose some acclaim after that, which was quite surprising. So a bit of a disappointing one, to be fair. But again, you know, we knew the pace wasn't there. It was going to be a tough one, but hopefully the race pace is better and we can be more competitive on the Sunday. But guys, that's it for qualifying. We're now going to move into the race for the Belgian Grand Prix.
Welcome along then to the Belgian Grand Prix, the race that gave us the maiden victory for the Jordan team in 1998. And in the same team, the phenomenal debut of a young Michael Schumacher. There's always something special around one of the many corners of this fan-favourite circuit. So here we are once again, ready to go racing through the Ardennes forest. 4.35 miles of long straights, fast corners and massive elevation changes. It makes this not only one of the most exciting circuits on the calendar, but one that makes for some consistently high-quality racing as well. Simply put it, there really is no place quite like Spa. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about Martinez. They're starting towards the back of the field today in a car that is fast, so they'll be disappointed, won't they?
It's not a nice feeling, I promise you. They've got a quick car underneath them, but they've got onto the grid today and they need a pair of binoculars to see the start lights. They'll be desperate for a good start to make up for some of that deficit.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, and Albon, Stroll, Ocon, Sainz, and Kimi Raikkonen, Gasly, Perez, Martinez, and Latifi, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Lando Norris, and Roman Grosjean. Kvyat and George Russell ends our grid lineup. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Okay, so here we go then. It's time for the race, guys. Looking first of all at the strategy. So we're going to be starting on the mediums, then going on to the soft compound tyres. A very straightforward one-stop strategy here today. The key element of the strategy is actually we're going to underfuel the car by 0.5, which is quite tricky to pull off around a power circuit, but I feel like it might help us be more competitive on those medium tyres at the start of the race, and hopefully it works out for us. So here we go then, 22 laps. It's time for the race as the lights come on here at Spa. Let's see if we can get a good start. It's going to be lights on and then lights off. Away we go, and look at this, good traction actually, and getting past Perez straight away as we now make our way down towards La Source, turn number 1, down the inside of Kimi Raikkonen, the inside left wide open by the Iceman, so we're going to slide through and take that, thank you very much, as we move up into 11th place, and looks like we are going to slot in just behind Carlos Sainz here, and making our way up through a route for the first time, and Radion again a little bit loose there, the back end just kicking out a little bit with the overtake mode engaged, but you can see here there was literally zero movement on the straight, even with the overtake and rich mix. We just weren't making any inroads on the cars in front, and the cars behind weren't catching either. So yeah, overall not too bad. We're getting 2 places off the line. We now make our way through Malmedy, and we are right behind Carlos Sainz, almost losing a wing, and actually Raikkonen converts that into a move. We're going to try and go around the outside though and convert defense into attack and go around the outside of Carlos Sainz, and now down the inside at turn number 9, and we move up into the top 10 with a beautiful move as our DRS actually goes offline, and we have a DRS failure on lap 1, and in other words, it's locked shut, so we won't get the benefit of that on lap 3, which is quite important in terms of our race, because I want to try and keep up with the pace on these tyres, so that may affect us in this Grand Prix. So not the best way to start things out here today. As I mentioned before, we just made our way now into the top 10, so it's been a good start. We're going to see if we can now try and keep the pace here. We are currently behind Lance Stroll in the Racing Point, using a bit of overtake here, and I suddenly realised that the AI weren't using overtake on the back straight, so I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to try and go for this. We go to the outside, there's very little room there. Stroll giving us a bit of a squeeze, but we're going to go all the way around the outside of Blanchimont, and now we're going to take the racing line into the bus stop and move up into P9, and that is now 4 places gained on the mediums on the opening lap of the race here today. So a really, really strong lap 1, and pulling one out the bag as we now cut onto the end of lap number 2. We've got Ocon and Gasly, of course, not the best of friends in real life, battling away here side by side, and they're losing a lot of time to the cars in front as DRS now gets enabled, and we're now going to have a chance to actually get past these guys, because they're still side by side heading out of turn 1, and they're still going to be going at it down towards Eau Rouge, and that's going to really ruin their momentum. So you can see here, I'm trying to keep a gap. We're going to now use the overtake up through Eau Rouge on the exit and off Radion. And look at this, Gasly getting loose. And we're going to get the run even without the DRS. Look at the speed difference here. We've got such a good run. We're going to go to the inside, 3 wide into Les Combes. Down the inside we go. We actually get back onto the racing line and make a beautiful double overtake up into the top 7. And that right there is how you race, boys. Absolutely insane. Really nice, clean move without the DRS. Just timing it beautifully with the slipstream and the overtake and the rich mix. And we managed to break away into some clean air, so we've now got a 2.5 second gap to Ocon, and we set a couple of personal bests. Eventually though, the soft tyre runners had to box on lap 6, which is quite early to be fair. We now move up into the top 5. We are currently behind Alex Albon, our teammate in the other Red Bull. He's in the soft compound tyres, and we're going to see if we can try and close that gap a little bit and close in. So what I'm going to do is actually use a bit more overtake, especially in this final sector. I used quite a bit of rich and overtake to just manage to get within DRS range of Alex as he now peels off into the pit lane, and that's going to give us DRS on this pit straight just to maximize, you know, the lap time as we set a purple sector 3. So a very nice lap there, another personal best at 1:44 now, 0.6, and the pace is actually quite strong. You can see behind us the gap to Gasly is 4.4, so we're constantly pulling away. Eventually all the soft tyre runners made their pit stops, and now we've got Leclerc, who's the first of the medium runners to box, and he actually goes for the hard compound tyres quite surprisingly, so he may be a bit vulnerable at the end, possibly. You never know. We've got Hamilton and Bottas now out front on the mediums, and eventually they would also box as well, as we're currently on for a personal best. We do just miss out, but the pace looks good, and we're looking pretty competitive. You know, matching our personal best after 13 laps on these tyres. It's a pretty good sign. And on the next lap, we're on for a personal best once again, as Hamilton pits in the Mercedes. We do set a personal best this time round, so again improving our pace all the time, and we're now up to second place. Lewis going for the soft compound tyres, which is more logical compared to what Charles Leclerc done before. So here we are, lap 14 now, the very next lap, and again another personal best, as this time Valtteri Bottas is in the pit lane. So we've had a great stint, and this is now going to be our in lap. So once again we need one more lap, one more push lap to go absolutely flat out as Leclerc sets a new fast lap at the Grand Prix. And you can see here on the end lap we got 2 green sectors, and we was, you know, going for it as fast as the car could go. We was pushing like crazy. We do make a bit of a mess of the pit entry. I tried to push a bit too much and it backfired on me a little bit, but we absolutely nailed the pit entry there with the speed limit. And now we're going to see what the mechanics can deliver in terms of a pit stop. So here we go onto the jack. Let's see, 2.5. Okay, you know what, that's not too bad. A pretty decent stop, and we're now on the soft compound tyres, fresh soft tyres as well, which is something other cars don't have, but we've got a fresh set, of course, due to being knocked out in Q2, so that will help us out massively in this race, as we've got 6 laps to go. Here we go, we're going to rejoin just behind Sebastian Vettel in P6, so that's pretty good news, to be fair. We're out ahead of Alex Albon, so we've managed to overcut our teammate and rejoin comfortably ahead of him. And here we go then, we are tucked in behind Sebastian Vettel, and I want to try and get past straight away here and just waste no time. So here we go, overtake, rich mix and DRS. We're going to try and squeeze to the inside. Sebastian Vettel giving us a big old squeeze. There's almost contact as well in the braking there, as we almost bang tyres, but we do go through and move up into the top 5 of the Belgian Grand Prix now, making really strong progress here today. We then move on to lap 17, and we get a green flag behind, so something's happened behind us. It looks like it's not Sebastian Vettel, which is what I thought at first. Something's happened through Pouon maybe, as we're closing in on Ricciardo here. And oh, safety car, there it is. Yep, safety car deployed. So we're going to get a replay. Sainz out of the race, so I'm not sure what happened there. So let's get a quick replay of that. So here we are on board with Sergio Perez. There's a bit of smoke going off up ahead. I'm guessing, who is that? I can't quite tell. It looks like it's a Renault, and there's contact. Oh my goodness me, Perez with a huge crash, and here comes Sainz. Is he going to collect him? Yes, he does, and it's a Renault. I think it's Ocon. So all three cars out of the race at once, which was a massive incident, to be fair, and a triple DNF there. So really, really big incident in the race, and three cars out, and we're now ready for the safety car restart. We've got Ricciardo in front on the hard tyres, Leclerc in P2 on those hard tyres as well. So here we go then, it's time for the restart. We actually get a beautiful line and exit out of the bus stop, but we just don't have the pure flat out straight line speed and engine power, and even compared to the Renault and the Ricciardo, we don't have the boost, you know, we're not quick enough. And to be fair, the setup was pretty good on the straight, so I think it's more a question of the Honda power unit not being good enough, because you can see here, we're still losing ground. Ricciardo's just pulling away. I thought at this point, I'd start to pull him in a little bit. I've got my overtake on, I've had it on all the way since turn 1, and we're just making no progress on the straight whatsoever, which was really, really surprising to me. So I tried it. It didn't quite work, and we're going to have to just wait a little bit longer and hopefully try and get move on Ricciardo a bit later, because the engine power wasn't quite there. So here we go then, at the end of that lap now, lap 20, and Ricciardo used most of his juice, and as did I at the first part of the lap, but I still had some left over. And similar to the move we did earlier on in the race, on Perez I believe, we've got some pretty good momentum here. We're going to try and go down the inside on the brakes into the bus stop. It's very, very tight. We get a bit loose there mid-corner. We go around the outside, though, of the second part of the bus stop as Hamilton sets a new fastest lap, and we move up into P4 for now. Ricciardo, though, is coming back at us here, and he goes around the outside of turn 1. What a move from Ricciardo, but we're going to fight it. Give him a bit of a squeeze, force him onto the curb there, and take P4. I thought I was safe, but Ricciardo came back at us here. He's going to go to the right-hand side. We just about take the racing line. There's contact, yellow flag behind. Something has happened. Sebastian Vettel involved as well, but we are up to P4. Let's get a quick replay, though, to see what happened to Ricciardo. As we go to a Rouge, he's in an awkward spot. He catches Sebastian Vettel and goes for a spin. Unfortunately, the replay that I recorded did corrupt after that, so I've got no more footage of that. That was the only bit I managed to salvage. But Ricciardo went for a spin up a Rouge, unfortunately. Either way, we now move on to the last lap of the race, and luckily we came away unscathed, and we're going to come through for a P4 in the Belgian Grand Prix.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Okay, so here we are looking at the final race results, and Lewis Hamilton picks up the dub here today in Belgium. Also, he gets the fastest lap ahead of Valtteri Bottas, and Leclerc rounds off the podium. We finish in a brilliant P4 from 13th on the grid, a really strong recovery drive, and the race pace was a lot better, to be fair. So lots of things to be encouraged about, and hopefully carry some positives into Monza. Sebastian Vettel P5 ahead of Alex Albon, who finishes P6. Then we've got Raikkonen, Norris, Giovinazzi and Grosjean all scoring points, and both Alphas in the top 10. And then we've got, missing out the points, Perez, Latifi, Russell, Kvyat and the rest. And again, just going back to that Ricciardo incident, you guys can watch it back in your own time at slow-mo if you want to. I just feel like Ricciardo just put his nose in the wrong place. He was hardly alongside me. Like, his front wing was just kind of there. He had to back out of that one. He didn't back out, and he got collected by Sebastian Vettel. So I think it's a racing incident in my book. I think Ricciardo misjudged it. So you guys can let me know in the comments down below what you think. We then move though into the driver standings after that race, and we are currently P4. Alexander Albon P7, so we're now looking pretty comfortable. We've got over 50 points on our teammate pretty much, and the challenge to get into second place is on in the driver standings as we now move into the constructors, and we are sitting in third place. We've now got nearly 100 points on AlphaTauri, so we're pulling away quite nicely there from my former team. But yeah, overall a good day in the office here today in Belgium, but we're now going to move into a quick post-race interview.
It's looking like the championship is already won. Do you think there's still time for this to change?
I mean, being realistic, the championship is probably out of reach, but you know, we're not sure.
You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
We did. The car was great. You know, nimble, aggressive, light. We could just throw the car in and it would work so well.
Great. Well, that's everything.
And then after the race, looking at the rivalry breakdown, unfortunately Bottas does pick up a big 5 points here today, and he's now leading by 4 points over us. So fair play, Bottas having a great day at the office here today. And to be fair, we are off the pace. We need a few big upgrades to really close that gap to Mercedes. Also, in terms of ACCLAIM, we recover pretty much what we lost after qualifying. And then in terms of R&D, you can see on screen we've got 2,390 points, and we've got an upgrade for the ERS cooling planned on the day of the Italian Grand Prix. So hopefully that will arrive and it won't fail, fingers crossed. But we are going to add another upgrade to the car, and this is going to be a chassis upgrade because we are already the best team on the aerodynamics, and with this upgrade we should hopefully become the best team on the chassis. So fingers crossed that arrives. That will be on the car for the Singapore Grand Prix. Also, you can see on screen the engine upgrade, it did arrive as well. So we are going to have a slightly improved package heading into Monza. But guys, with that said, that is going to be it for today's episode. If you guys enjoyed it, like, subscribe, check out the 2 videos on screen right now if you have missed them. And that is it from me here today, guys, for the Belgian Grand Prix. And I will see you all next time for Monza. But until then, take care and let's goodbye from me.